Okay, so 3 different ways to identify whether or not you are likely to succeed with improving your dating life. So there's 3 of them, C.I.P, and I'm going to go over them here. This will be a great way for you to be able to kind of have the foresight on whether or not you are going to have an easy time succeeding and actually getting towards the goals that you want, or whether or not you're probably just spinning your wheels, not going anywhere. And unfortunately, if you don't listen to this, you may not find out about that till years down the line and go, oh man, these were some of the things that were really holding me back. So if you and I are going out to a coffee shop, these are the top 3 things that I'm going to be paying attention to, and whether or not you do them and do them well would dictate whether I would actually bet on your success or not. So check them out. First one, curiosity. Have you remained curious? Are you somebody that is still asking questions and putting yourself in a position where you're not trying to be a know-it-all when it comes to the opposite sex, dating, love, relationships, breakups, all of that stuff? You know, people seem to always be curious and at the same time assumptive as to how I have come across the skills that I have and the information that I have, like especially in areas of understanding female psyche. Men and women are like, how did you come up with this? It's like, I didn't come up with this. It's not like I was sitting somewhere and going, you know what? This is a good idea. This is this great lesson. I'm gonna run with this one. Hopefully this will work. I actually learned a lot of what we teach by being incredibly curious and asking tons of people questions that were not fun to ask. I was the man that was out there going out with women, and if the date was going bad, in my mind, I was like, I'm not going to act like this date's going good. I know this is going horrible, so I'm going to ask. It's like, hey, I can see this is not going in the right direction, so can you just fill me in on like what is going on in your experience as to why this isn't going so great? Also asking questions just in general with all women. I actually carried around a list for a long time. I still have that list, still have it developing. I have questions that I'm asking on a regular basis to women and to couples and to people in general now that it's kind of expanded into all these different areas. But I had a regular list of questions where I was curious and going up to women and saying, okay, what's your answer to this? Now, just if you go around and ask questions doesn't mean you're going to be successful. It's like going around and asking for health tips or business tips. You can go up to about 100 people and ask them business tips, and unless you're asking the right people, and even if you are asking the right people, they're probably not going to give you the best tips. But you ask for a long enough time and you're asking the right people, you're going to start getting this flow. You're going to start seeing this pattern, and that'll help you out a lot. It's a whole lot better, a whole lot more conducive to your success than living life as a skeptic, which is what unfortunately I see most of the time. So on this first one, curiosity, do you remain in a position where you're asking questions that put you in a position where you can learn and where you're evoking lessons out of life? Or are you in a position where you're just trying to find out whether or not you are right or you are wrong? And if you're wrong, you're kind of resistant to it. Fact is, that's how most people are. Most people are, I mean, how many times have you heard things like this? All men are this way. All women are this way. Oh, that's just how it goes. Another one I just can't stand. It is what it is. Or just wait. Sooner or later, it'll all work out. And how much people invest in fate. As my father once told me, always be willing to question. Always be willing to question. Everybody, including yourself. But there's a difference between curiously questioning and becoming a skeptic. A skeptic is somebody that is defensive and is constantly trying to just defend their thoughts and not really logically hear things out. A person that's curiously questioning is really going out there and trying to explore and trying to find. So on that first one, are you living curious about the opposite sex? Are you living curious about how you can improve your life? Are you living curious about what makes or breaks situations? Are you curious as to why other people are better than you in some ways? Or are you the person that's just defensive and trying to act like that's not the case? If that's you, I would never bet on you being able to improve this area of your life. If you're a person that sits down and is real and says, you know what, I got some issues. I hope you have some answers, and if you don't, I'm going to somebody else, and then another person, and then another person. That's somebody that I'm going to bump up my betting factor as he's probably going to be successful in the long run. So C is the first one, curiosity. Second one is investment. Do you actually invest in yourself? Think about somebody, and this is in multiple areas. This is not just in investing in yourself of like putting time in for you to think about how you're going to improve this area of your life. It involves time. You know, are you actually setting aside the time to do it, and not just putting time aside within your week to be able to work on approaching people and interacting with people and studying things and whatnot? It's also a difference between somebody. I see a lot of people that are always looking for the quick fix. That's the wrong type of time investment. You're not going to go about fixing your entire dating life and how you relate to the opposite sex and how you relate to yourself in a confidence sense. You're not going to fix that in a weekend. You're not. You've lived, you know, however old you are. Think about how many years you have stacked of beliefs and experiences that have all developed into habits that you need to change. Truth is, you can change them. It's not that hard to actually change them, but it takes longer than a weekend. So whenever I see somebody that just is trying to race towards that next easy little way to improve their dating life, like everybody on dating apps, you know, I'm like, you're not investing in yourself like you really should. You're not investing in the long-term, you know, you're trying to get the quick result really fast. And here's the funny thing. In any area of life, if you when you shoot for the fastest route, the one that's most likely to give you your result, you're on the path of the common. You're on the path that hundreds of other thousands of people are competing with you on. Think about the lotto. How many people shoot for that? What are your chances of winning that? Not very high. How many people actually go out there and work for trying to create their own business and struggling through that? It's actually, you know, I would bet that you have a higher chance of winning through that, creating your own business and developing your own education when it comes to finances, than trying to win through the lotto. It's the same thing when it comes to love. If I see somebody and all they're doing is investing in, you know, some new dating app, they don't actually put any time into learn about the opposite sex, they don't have time to go interact with new people, get outside their comfort zone, they don't take classes, they don't pay for courses, they don't pay to, you know, me, still, come to the Vimbasi Dojo, check out our bookshelf, big bookshelf. Yeah, any book that comes up, I'm going to check it out. And here's the truth: books won't fix it all. I think a book is going to be able to improve a dating life. You're false, my friend. It could give you some suggestions and some ideas that you could possibly use, but there's a lot that goes into it. So think about it. Are you a person that's investing in multiple ways? Financially, investing in things that could help you improve. Are you investing in your character? Are you actually putting yourself in uncomfortable positions that are actually required for you to be able to improve your dating life? If you're not willing to face vulnerability, nobody's going to enter a vulnerable sexual or romantic relationship with you. Are you approaching people? Are you doing all that? Are you set aside the time to actually have somebody step into your life in some way? If you're not doing that stuff, it's unlikely that you're going to be successful. I wouldn't really bet on your success. And a way to compare this, think about meeting somebody that's really overweight. How much would you have faith within them succeeding if they were like, no, I'm going to do this all on my own. I'm not even going to surround myself with people that are excelling in this area, because that would make me feel like I'm not doing so well. And I'm not going to go pay for the food that I really should eat. I'm just going to keep eating this crap, cheap food. And I'm not going to pay right now for a gym membership, but down the line, you know, I'm going to do that. And I'm only putting in so many hours. Would you bet that they're going to succeed at losing weight and getting fit? Or would you go, you know what? You thinking that you're not, you know, you're just going to decrease what you eat, but you still eat the same stuff, and you're just going to like work out in your garage with a couple things you bought off Craigslist? I'm not betting on your success here, bud. You know, so it's the same thing in relation to really all areas of your life. All big categories of life, they take large investments. So first one, curiosity. Are you remaining curious rather than defensive and skeptical? Second one is investment. Are you actually investing in yourself? The last one is perception. And this is one of the biggest ones. Does this person, this is what I'll be asking if I was meeting up with you for coffee and evaluating, what's the likelihood of this person actually succeeding? Does this person have, got something in my teeth, the perception to see himself clearly and to see women clearly? Or if you're a woman listening to it, the opposite. Do you have the ability to see yourself clearly? This is one of the largest areas where people have, they don't realize how this is working against them. Think about how science works. When you want to do a test to be able to see whether or not something works or not works, or to come to a conclusion, you have to control the variables. You have to be able to get it so you can say, in this little session here, this is what we did, and this is the result we got. And now we changed this one little tiny thing, and we ran the same test again. And we saw that everything was exactly the same except for this one thing between the two of them, and the results that changed were this. If you can control the variables and just switch one of them, you can kind of come to a conclusion as to what works. Truth is, that's very hard to do when you're trying to learn the science of dating, which is, hard to control your own self and your own variables. It's very hard for you to come to assumptions as to what works when you're dealing with strangers, and the variables are actually very hard to control. So do you have a way to be able to have the perception clear as to what's going on in your own situation, on your side of the test, science test or whatever, and their side? Do you have also the clear perception as to being able to see what your biggest problems actually are? Most people do not have that. Most people that we connect with, our company, Vimbasi Warriors, when we talk to people, we always see that people are generally about, if I was to guess about the average, probably around 90% of them are really far off on knowing what the problem is. In their mind, they're like, this right here, this is what I need. If I get this, my dating life will transform, or my relationship will transform, my confidence will transform. But a lot of times people focus on something that is the symptom, but they don't see the problem. This is a lack of perception. This is a lack of perception of your own self. So can you clearly see what your actual problem is? Would a professional in the area that you're trying to improve agree with you? Or would they look at you and go, you're far off, my friend. You think that that's the problem. That's only the symptom of the bigger problems that are down here. Keep trying to change that. This is still going to reside. It's going to take you a very long time to be able to uncover what this really is. So, do you have the perception of yourself? Secondly, do you have the perception of other people? And a way to be able to see what's working, what's not working. This is where ultimately investing in a program actually helps people out a lot, because being able to have somebody that can reflect back to you how you actually are showing up and how you're actually working in your own relation to yourself and in the relation to other people and women that you're trying to date and whatnot. That's a pretty critical point. So ask yourself, are you on track to be successful? Are you doing the three things? Are you being somebody that is just unendingly curious? Totally willing to be the person that asks the questions that nobody is willing to ask because they don't want to look like they don't know. If you're not willing to ask the questions that are vulnerable and scary and put yourself in a position where you're exploring things, very unlikely that you're really going to make much of not only this area of your life, but any other area that has some mysticism and some complexity to it. It's like it's like somebody being an entrepreneur and expecting that their first business is going to do really, really well, or somebody that expects that they can just go learn some diet and practice some diet for some short amount of time and work out a little bit and it's all going to go well. It's you got to remain curious about learning. The moment you think you're going to be on the top, it's the moment somebody else is going to come along and show you that you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Same thing applies to myself. Every time I've ever been in a position where I'm in a relation, I'm in a relationship now, and if I was ever in a position where I'm like, yep, I got this handled, I know every single thing that happens, peachy, smooth sailing for sure. Generally, that is what it is for me. But the moment I become assumptive that it's always going to be that way, that's when I'm going to get knocked on my ass. That's when all of a sudden I'm going to get a reality check. So are you living curious? Are you remaining curious and not defensive? Are you curious, not defensive? Secondly, are you investing in yourself and investing in this effort to change on a big level? We're not talking about the same level that everybody invests in. New dating app, trying to be able to go ask people out, trying to kind of improve your fashion, trying to do all that stuff. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, are you actually improving your knowledge? Are you actually improving your efforts of character, being able to present yourself better, being able to put yourself into vulnerable places and push yourself outside your comfort zone? Are you doing that? And thirdly, do you actually have quality ability to see your own shit, your own problems, your own stuff? Are you getting a very clear reflection of who you are and to how you are showing up and how you're failing in your dating life or in your relationship, or what's holding you back? Do you have clear perception? Other people, yourself, how you interact. So ask yourself which areas you could be improving in and which areas you're lacking in. If it's all three, don't view this as don't fail automatically within the first and become a skeptic. Instead, view this as the moment that you go, wow, maybe those are some of the reasons why I'm struggling to improve this area. And I'm just going to start switching it right now. How could I become curious again? Where could I invest? Where could I start getting some of this perception? For asking friends. You'd be surprised. Even just go talking to your friends. That's, when I started reaching out to women and reaching out to friends and asking them like, hey, what's your perception of me socially? What's your perception of my issues with dating? Now, a lot of them aren't going to be able to give you the answer that's amazing and perfect. A lot of them are going to be far off. You're going to get a lot of crappy answers. But if you ask for a very long time, you're going to start getting a rhythm. And you're also going to get a lot of answers to things that you didn't see before. Different ways. I started asking that question a long time ago. I flat out had one friend tell me, dude, you smell. You need to take more showers. And I was like, really? You serious? I was so surprised. He's like, yeah, man, you smell, and you need to change your fashion. You need to do this. Were those the most important things? I think my showering skills were not as bad as it probably was being made out to be. But at the same time, yeah, I needed to improve upon that. So, same thing probably applies for you. You're going to ask a lot of questions, and you're going to start getting answers on things that you didn't realize before. So do you have that? So curiosity, investment, and perception. Those three things, you do great in them, your success is likely. You do not do good in them, you do the opposite, I would never, never, ever, ever bet on your success. So leave a comment below, subscribe, and take this as an opportunity now. Reach out in all three of those ways. Reach out and send me a question. You can find it, you can send me an email at aa@vimbasiwarrior.com. You can leave a comment below. Investing in yourself, even if you don't have the money to be able to invest in one of our programs currently, you could invest in just your effort and bringing up this conversation in your own mind that much more of how to improve. Go try new things, go ask people questions on how you can improve, and when you get an answer, work on improving it a little bit. Go out there and learn, be vulnerable about it. And then the last thing is perception. Start asking for feedback rather than just trying to assume what the problem is. Start trying to really search out from other people what their perception of your issues are. So anyways, with all that, I leave you guys. Subscribe below, comment. Would love to hear from you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.